I believe it's recording. Gloving. It's cold. Ugh. Long winter. It's going to be a long one. Yep. Yeah, it is. Yeah, too bad, huh? Okay. Video. Culture. Sort of kind of odd again. But this theme runs through everything. All these conversations are basically not conversations about how we should think. They're all conversations about how we should live or what it is to be, and all this kind of bullshit. And it's just sort of annoying because the being part. I have to concede that for most of my life, I kind of gave up on the being part. I mean, I kind of knew being was going to be complicated. Being was going to be, just navigating minefields and, trying to get through life without totally embarrassing yourself, in some just grotesque way. And, those were kind of thoughts that went through my head anyway. And, and that's all I could hope for was to avoid complete failure. But, some measure of failure was going to be inevitable. Some bad shit was going to come my way. And there wasn't much I was going to be able to do about some of that. But I could try to prevent some. But anyway, this just being thing is... it turns people into greasy spots on the highway. So, I mean, it has a downside. It's just living to be thing, because it does make you into someone who doesn't pay much attention to practicality or inevitabilities or odds. It's just this gambling psychology, you can almost call it. And so anyway, I think the kind of odd is basically broken it down to some cultural thing now. So now we have to argue as if we're, byproducts of a nation state. And it has a way of life, the nation state, the people. I just think that it's a terrible way to frame an argument. I'm not saying there aren't tendencies that exist in people from different regions of the world, but the world is getting smaller and smaller, and that's less of a reality anymore. That there's any kind of homogeny. We're all it's pretty lumpy. Most cultures, most civilizations now are pretty lumpy. Lots of different kinds of chunks in there. Anyway. I don't even like, this whole, the French way of living or something. It's just kind of bogus. Anyway, who's on the way up and who's on the way down is another kind of a messy thing to talk about. Just because there's a lot of people who are on the way up on borrowed money, and they're not going to stay up. But anyway, that's a whole nother, bibble babble. Point I want to get to is just this philosophy versus psychology problem. And if there is any way around it, is people are going to keep arguing from psychological perspective. This thing has been... yeah, it's very nice that they have these little pull cord thing, but all it's done is get trapped on everything I walk by, and ruin the whole principle. Anyway, I'll do without pull cords, thank you. The windy days, I will be lamenting the loss of my pull cord. Anyway. Make a new one or something, or whatever. Just live life hard. I'll just be. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, philosophy, psychology. yeah, really important distinctions, I think. I think. One thinks, one feels. There are different processes, and I think it's inevitable that we gain some thinking perspective. There's a kind of a big dog. Oh, okay, he's got a human. Be a good puppy. Yeah. When people have to talk to the dog, they're wondering, it's like they have to persuade it not to attack. Okay. Just a puppy. Hey, pup. Anyway. I'm talking to the dog. I'm going to button you. Doesn't know what to do. Friend or foe. Can't make up its mind. Anyway. Psychology. So now I have a psychological moment in the middle of my philosophizing. But anyway, we are informed. Shit, I should have brought my hammer. By our life experience. And yes, we are informed by our life experience that ice dropped it. My fault. I have to be very careful here. Very careful. Oh. Yeah, I'll have to be very careful here. Very careful. Very careful. Alright, I need it. I have to remember to take a rock. Ow. Damn it. Broke my wrist. I'm not entirely broken, I don't think. Temporarily cracked, maybe. What a day. Every day is what a day. So that's my psychology speaking. That I have to, so my psychology informs me through my life, generally speaking, in sort of negative ways. It's always finding this struggle, fight thing difficult. Waking up. Oh, I have to wake up. I don't want to do that. Then I have to do chores. And then I have to try to get inspired to give a damn. And then I have to do stuff. And while I feel like crap, or not, depending on the day. And anyway, so that's my psychology. But my brain, my thinking brain, is saying, ooh, evolution made trees. And this one has this, cedar trees, has brown bark, and has these little spiky dead branches. And it grew this certain way because, animals would, sharpen their horns and shit on it. So he's a defense against that. So it became kind of horny itself, kind of fight back. Blah, blah, blah. Struggle. Evolution. And so it thinks that kind of shit. And it thinks shit like, ooh, yuck, and it thinks all kinds of things. But anyway, it thinks as it connects the dots. And it gets into this conversation with the world. And then as I develop through that conversation, I realize there's conceptual ideas you have to use to try to communicate with other people. So you come up with words that you try to use more often. And, maybe a good word is, your theory of reality. It's not a word, but, you're some kind of way of obliging people to explain it, define it, describe it, do more than just say in little pieces of crap, what you think. Let's hear more. Give me a picture of some kind of developed thing where I can connect dots and understand where how you perceive things that way, how you opine, you know, but you don't really get that. But I guess I'm getting past the conversation here a little. I want to stay on this here part about these distinctions. So anyway, my point is that we are informed by our personal life experience. It tells us things about life. It tells us, gives us a glimpse of possibilities. Gives us some capacity to imagine what other people are experiencing based on, what's their reactions to circumstances. We can gauge whether maybe we're too sensitive or too insensitive, or how we're different, and then also recognize how we're the same, all that kind of stuff. So you can get a general picture of what psychologists do. So back to Anacondavod's video, this idea of being, I just don't, I'd like it to mean something, but I don't know if it really does. There are people being complete assholes and doing it as if they were climbing a mountain. Like it's a magnificent accomplishment for them to, weigh 350 pounds and then, and gain and lose 20 pounds forever. Yeah, just keep rewarding themselves. Oh, I lost 20 pounds. And then gain it back, and then they lose 20 pounds again. Or some other thing like that. It's just people living in, stupid worlds of being. There's people being, Olympic heroes. There's people being, the best salesman on the team. Yeah, salesman. Ooh. Yeah. And they're being through that whole process. And they have a sense of glory, not unlike the stoic on his battlefield, or whatever stoics do. So there's no point in talking about being. And, you could say that, no, I don't know if you can. I just don't know if you can say it. I don't know if you can say that it means more that somebody's watching ballet and enjoying it, or somebody's, watching Ren and Stimpy and enjoying it, or Beavis and Butthead and enjoying it. I'd like it to mean something different. I don't know if I can think any rational reason why it really does. So I think that's just kind of bullshit. You're winning if you can afford to sit around and not have to work. I guess you're winning. But somebody must work in France, so they're probably not being all that, special. They're not wallowing in their being. So anyway, this whole idea that people are just so full of advice on how to live, and they're calling that philosophy. Life advice. That's not philosophy. That's crap. That's bullshit. Here's a lie that really works. Tell this lie to yourself. Repeat this lie 17 times, and you'll feel fine. Or you'll be able to get through it. Tell some fable, and somehow you can get the asshole to keep rolling the boulder. Whatever. Yeah, you can work on people's psychology, make them more complacent or more comfortable with mediocrity. And I personally don't call that doing anything meaningful philosophically, or saying anything meaningful regarding what it is to be. What it is to be is understanding what it is to be. Being, yeah, okay. So Some people, that's the prime directive, having a good time. For other people, the prime directive is more complicated. It's good time's got to be within ethical constraints, and for even other people, it's got to be in, not only do you have to not be a menace, you have to actually be productive. So these different standards, I think, do have a different credibility. The higher the standard, the better. And the only thing worth living for is to understand what you lived for. To understand what it was, and to squeeze the most juice you could have out of it. And I don't think you do that playing an internal game. I think you do that playing a good external game. Certainly you have to play a passable internal game just to keep walking and talking. It's game over if I can't keep me tolerable enough to keep pushing into the next day. But that doesn't mean much. Big pictures kind of way. I'm really not in the mood for people. There's a big pile of people here. Anyway, till next time. And such. Alright, back again. Yeah. So anyway, I was thinking, and it's kind of odd, I did use the word game in this video. And he sort of conceded there's a game, but he conceded in kind of the wrong way. Like there's a personal game. And this bigger picture game. So again, I sort of said this. There's, the game of your own psychology plays a game. There's a game going inside your own brain where, the gladiators are warring, in the sense that you have notions and ideas, you have experiences and memories, and they're all fighting, in a sense, for your identity. We're sort of back to this, angel and devil on your shoulder thing in a way, but there's more than that. There's lots of perspectives, in your subconscious, conceptual perspectives, concepts like honor, concepts like mission and purpose, accomplishment, productivity, efficiency, these kind of words, and their influence on you attempting to maximize your performance. And so people, in the previous video, whatever that guy is, he used the word mindfulness. And so, that's a perspective, like any of the others. And, you can be driven by some sort of technique or, set of rituals, way of looking at things, a way of looking at them. There can be tricks, motivational tricks, or comforting tricks, durability tricks, things that make you stronger or make you more tolerant or less likely to get into trouble, more disciplined in your behavior in terms of making yourself more functional, staying at a one and done kind of way of drinking or something, some sort of rule, some sort of gameplay that your brain, and it's just your brain, and these concepts have battled, so to speak, inside of you through some sort of democracy of some kind, one assumes, to validate a end product that becomes you, that somehow balances your self-interest and balances your mission interests your objectives. I suppose it's the same kind of internal battle that goes on for anyone struggling to accomplish. They could always say, I should practice another hour, or I should go run another 10 laps, or I should do this, or I should do that. And there's always lines they have to draw somewhere. Some part of them has to understand how they maintain their health and their well-being to maximize even what they get out of their practicing. So even perspective in their practice, they have to have a certain mindfulness for the practice to be productive. A certain, you can have negative practice in the sense you could be practicing, but because your mind is in the wrong place, you won't learn. You won't reinforce positives. You'll end up just acquiring negatives, putting noise into your game, playing a less efficient game because of it. The head game is so important to this physical game we play. And unfortunately, we have to do the thinking thing, the philosophizing inside of that head, that personal identity, that personal, playing piece, and it just makes things a little difficult when you have to. You have to have mechanisms that make you a little bit impervious to the disasters that may pretty good job. Yeah, that's good. Me liking iceberg. There. That should do it. It did. Leave the rock there for future use. Anyway. So yeah, that's a context of how we do this sport. But when we're in the sporting arena, practice is over. All these personal disciplines, these personal gimmicks and games we play, they're not part of the sport of philosophy. So it's time to put that stuff away and get to the game, which is, stay focused on, these theories of truth, theories of reality and its function, a definition of the functions, the products, the equations, the math of life. And it's not about being anymore. It's about doing. It's about doing good logic and having a well-formed, coherent model of the board, the game. I mean, that's the funny part of it, is we're in the game of describing gameplay, not playing the game, describing the game. That's the game, is to understand the game. Playing the game, this isn't the kind of game you play your way to victory. It's the kind of game you understand your way to victory. You learn what a bacterium is, and then you learn how to kill them. You learn the trick of penicillin. So it's about what you learn, what you understand. That's the game, and the actualizing it or playing it in the real world isn't the real game. Because once you know the truth, it's all straight lines then. There won't be any game to play. There'll just be, logical directives that necessitate certain moves to certain ends. And I guess what I'm saying, ultimately, is that the facts do point to a truth that basically negates the playability of the game, and basically says, logically, tilt. There's no game to play, no good game, just bad games. So it's time to put the game away, and it can't be played. It can't create, deserve, and it can't acquire consent. And without those things, without fairness or consent, it's not playable. Anyway, I think that's enough of an add-on, I think. So till the next time, and so forth and whatnot.